Well, hello to the Sober Heathen Impromptu Live podcast thingamadour. This is just kind of an update on things that have been going recently. First, I would like to acknowledge my kiddos. Yesterday at my grandma's funeral, my grandma, Viva Williams, passed away this week. And she was the one that raised me, and she was my mother by all definitions. And my kids yesterday at the funeral, they held their own. They were young adults, even at 11, and I'm very proud of them. This will be very brief. I just wanted to talk about my grandma and what's going on with me. There wasn't a human being that wasn't more accepting of me than my grandma. Even in my worst times, grandma was always happy to see me and welcome me with open arms. She was grandma for the longest time, and then up until the last handful of years, maybe 10, 8, 9, 10, or whatever, she was Gigi. And she never changed from Gigi from then on. She was Gigi because she was my boy's great-great-grandmother. And that's what we called her. She was buried in a necklace that said Gigi. The flowers on her casket yesterday they had the letters Gigi on it. And that's just who she was. She was somebody that took care of me, my mom, my mom's mom, who was my grandmother. And that's what my grandma did. She was a mom. And up until 3 months ago, she was living at home, doing her own thing, even to the extent of moving recliners around in her house. And she was able to move one recliner out of the way when one broke and put the other one in its place. As I talked about at the funeral yesterday, there was really never a time that when I would call grandma that she had a negative tone in her voice, or when we came over, there was never a sad or negative tone when we walked in the door. It was always, oh, hi, how are you? It was always that. So seeing her in the nursing home and slowly declining was a sad thing. But I just wanted to do just a real brief thing, I was just live with Lindsay. If you haven't seen that yet, go ahead and check that out. But being in the place that I've been, having all these people at the funeral home coming to see grandma and pay their respect. Like, oh, Scotty, we're so glad to see you where you're at and how far you've come. That's all in reference to what they knew me as and then what I'd become as an alcoholic. And it was just really nice to be able to, you know, Grandma spent 42 years taking care of me. And it was really nice the last couple months to be able to take care of her with a sober mind. As I talked with Lindsay on her podcast, if you are in early sobriety or in recovery or wherever you might be, if you have thoughts of drinking or using again, I've had those thoughts. I don't know what the right answer is to tell you. I know that I'm not going to tell you that shame on you. I know that. I'm not going to tell you that shame on you for wanting and thinking about these things. I know that. Because I've had those thoughts. And I also had those thoughts, and then I had the following thoughts that were, well, what good's that going to do? So when you're fighting through addiction, when you're fighting through recovery, I just wanted this short video to be, don't beat yourself up about negative thoughts. Thoughts are way different than actions, and even actions aren't the end of the world. If I would have drank a 6-pack this weekend and that was it, and this is going to give me a lot of grief. It is. If I would have drank a 6-pack this weekend, if I would have drank a half pint this weekend, if I would have drank a pint this weekend, and that was it, and I went back to my family and I went back to the life that I have created in recovery, then that's what it was. I'm not advocating for anybody to go out and use or to drink again. I'm not doing that. Abstinence is always the goal. But if you're doing the best you can and you're talking to people, what we talked about with Lindsay today, please go back and check that out. You don't have to have a sponsor. You don't have to have the one person that you talk to about everything. I'm blessed. I have Miley. I even have my kids. I was able to talk openly with my kids yesterday. My kids, even Easton, was holding back tears. I was able to be open and honest with my kids. My ex-wife was there. She was there for me. There are people that we may not think that are there for us. That are there just for an ear. As I said it in Lindsay and I's talk earlier, I have a brother, Brian. I have a brother, Travis, and both of them are they mean a lot to me, and this is no disrespect to either one of them. Got to hang out with Travis the night before the funeral, or a couple nights before the funeral. Brian was working out of town. I didn't get a chance to hang out with him, but when it comes down to Zach, who was the best man in my wedding, my first wedding, it comes to Chris and Pug or Ryan, they're my family. So when I am, excuse me, when I am anti, like, this is how you do things, this is what you need to do, when I'm anti those things, which I am, because I don't know what's right for you. I don't know what's right for anyone to recover. I don't even know what's right for me to continue sobriety because I know my journey and the fuck ups that I've had. Pardon my French. But I do know that being able to call a friend and talk to a friend and tell them exactly how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking, what I've done, is instrumental. It's invaluable. To have Miley, who Miley's had to make Miley's had to make decisions or boundaries for herself. And yet I've been able to come and talk to her and say, hey, babe, I've thought about drinking this. I've wanted to buy this. I wanted to do that. And she's been willing to listen. And that doesn't mean that everybody's going to be able to listen. Not everybody's going to be understanding. There are going to be people that are like, if you don't stop drinking, you're done. If you don't stop drinking, I'm done with you. Those are boundaries that they have to choose. That doesn't mean that you're alone forever. To bring this back about my grandma, and this is what this is supposed to be, is a thank you. My grandma never gave up on me one time. I went to treatment in January 2022. And I was there for 60 days. And I came back, and 4 hours later, I was drunk as a skunk. That was probably early March. My great-grandmother was 98 years old, and she had to call the hospital at least a half a dozen times to come find me, to pick me up. I remember one time when I wasn't really drunk, I remember hearing the EMS people come up the stairs, and one of the gentlemen saying, oh yeah, we've been here for this guy plenty of times. And that happened to be a time that I wasn't drinking, but my potassium level and something else. And I remember that night that I was so scared I thought I was going to die. And I asked my 98-year-old grandmother to come upstairs with me and lay in bed with me. I said, Grandma, will you lay with me, please? She came up and she laid in the bed with me, and she only lay there for a short time because she was uncomfortable. And she's like, Scotty, I can't lay here anymore. And then the next morning, or however long it was, I heard the EMS people come up. I think I was like, oh yeah, we've been here for this guy plenty of times. It was my potassium level and something else. I couldn't walk. These are all things that a 98-year-old woman shouldn't have to deal with. But she did. She dealt with them, and she was there for me all the time. When she passed away a week ago, it's a little less than that, it really didn't hit me. And I remember I was sitting here with Miley, and I think it was, I don't even know what day it is. I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what day it is. Because they're all running together. And I said to Miley, I'm like, I'm a little boy that just wants to go home. And Miley's like, okay. And she took me home. And I laid on Grandma's couch for a couple nights, bouncing from the couch to the bed that I had left, which was a mattress upstairs. But I just want to be home with Grandma. So anyway, this thing is already on 15 minutes. I just want anybody to listen to this, or anybody that's listening to this. Tuesday, thank you, buddy. These thoughts and these feelings are not bad. They're not good. But they don't have to be the end. I love my grandma, and she's my one person that I could trust and I could rely on every single day of my life. She's gone now. When I look back, and this is just going to be real feelings before I let you go. Grandma was the only person that never kicked me away or pushed me away, whether the boundaries were right or wrong or whatever. My ex-wife had to let me go for right reasons. My two awesome young men had to set boundaries. They don't want to even spend the night with Dad yet, but I hope that's coming. They had to set boundaries because of who I became. Miley had to ask me to move out. The one person that never did that to me was Grandma. And I'm not saying that my kids or Miley or my ex-wife were wrong in doing so. They were right to do so. They did what they needed to do. But I lost the one person that never said goodbye. Never mind, she did say goodbye. So now I got to grow up, and I got to make sure that I do the next right thing. And that's okay. Anyway, I said I was going to do this, so I did it. So I'll talk to you guys soon.